I was just going to come to that. Palliatives. Was there ever a time? Was it ever at any time possible for the government, because on one hand the federal government was talking about removal of fuel subsidy, and on the other hand, in the same vein, we also heard about palliatives that we would put in place before the removal, but we didn't see that. But was it ever possible at any point in time for the government to have done this, removed subsidy and provided the palliatives at the same time? Because that's when Nigerians are crying foul over that. Okay, you want to remove the fuel subsidy, go ahead, but before you do that, put this and this in place.
I think it's a chicken and egg game. It's a chicken and egg. Which one comes first? The masses are saying, put palliatives in place, then remove the subsidy, so that the effect will be, moderated on the people. Clearly, it is the duty of government to moderate the pains on the people. That is what government is about. It is also the legitimate right of the Nigerian people to protest. So when they protest, government should not see it as fighting government. In fact, government should protect them as those protestations happen, because it is a way of, registering their displeasure. But protestation, a lot of the time, is not necessarily to bring government down. You protest and do revolutions to bring government down when there is no avenue of changing that government. That's when you have a dictatorship. But when you have a democracy and you have the power to be able to, take out the government, if you don't agree with the policies of the government, then you wait for your time when you exercise your power. That is by the way. Let me come back to the issue of these palliatives. Let government provide the argument from a structural perspective. Let us understand the economics of it, and let us now look at the politics of it. The palliatives, for me, is within the framework of the politics of this deregulation. And the reason is this. There's a structural problem. We need to take government out of the sector any way possible. And as quickly as possible. That has been agreed.
Has been done, yeah.
A lot of Nigerians don't like the pains of deregulation. It's not as if they don't really like deregulation. If the regulation is done in a painless way to them, they will embrace it. Nigerian people don't have a problem about that. Now, that is the economics of it. The politics of it is all these palliatives and the rest of them. I don't know how the committee that has been set in place is going to be effective. For three reasons. One, does that committee have the power to implement spending and expenditure? My answer is no. That committee is at best advisory.
How much were you able to get a liter of fuel?
Well, I drove around Wale oluwo Road in Ikoyi, and I saw Total at about 140. I saw Honda at about 155, so I bought from Total.
So that is the scenario we're going to see.
That's the scenario we're going to see. We're going to see a scenario where
eventually adjusts itself.
The market forces will make these marketers to compete amongst themselves. What I see now is probably a panic pricing system. The fuel that most of these marketers have now are fuel that they had imported under the PPMC structure, the NNPC, which was completely inefficient. And I think going forward, they will now have to start looking at sources where they can get the cheapest possible, cost for their products, because there's going to be competition. If a marketer is selling for 170 and another marketer can sell for 130, clearly people are not going to go to the 170 guy. That's the issue. I suppose that government should also be focusing on, how to encourage marketers to increase supply. When you have a transition period and you have a regime of, incremental price that is more than 100%, the solution to that is not administrative. The solution to that is not to say people are hoarding, let's go and forcefully open their station and begin to force them to sell. No. You cannot use administrative solution to solve an economic problem. You must use an economic solution. And the economic solution that can work now is to continue to flood the market with supply. I know we can only do that by importing at this time. But over time, the price should settle at a much more better price than this. That's what I believe, because I know what the power of competition can do.
Okay, we currently have a PPPRA benchmark price of 141.
I don't like the characterization of that agency. That's the truth. I don't like the way it is characterized.
Did you say is it a set price? It's a benchmark.
No.
Meaning that it
when
can't
you say
go below
product price, whatever. You don't have business with pricing. It's either you are prepared to deregulate or you don't want to deregulate. You cannot have an agency that is still having price as part of its
But if there's no price, won't we have a situation where people, you know, the marketers could just take advantage of situation, abuse it, and
take advantage
amongst themselves decide
and
that, you know what, yes, and then decide that let's have a particular price where we won't go below this particular price, and then
that is like forming a cartel. Look, let me tell you something about that. These things, they work in some instances, they don't work in a lot of instances. I'll give you two scenarios. One, Nigeria is a member of OPEC. OPEC is a cartel that tries to manage supply so that they can achieve a particular price. Sometimes they achieve it, sometimes they don't. But in Nigeria, when you have different producers producing homogeneous commodity, almost homogeneous commodity, where there is little differentiation, what will determine their pricing and their share of market is their cost. So if you are selling petrol, I'm also selling petrol, and it costs me probably 100 naira to produce my 1 liter, and it costs you 120. And you come to me and say, let's gang up and sell for 150 so that you can make 30 naira, I can make 50 naira. It's not in my interest. I'm not going to be part of that cartel, because why? I can sell at 120 and still make 20 naira profit and drive you out of the market. You are not my brother. So I'm going to be very brutal with you when it comes to competing with you. My desire is to drive you out of the market. So I cannot be having, a collaboration with somebody that's taking my business away. And we've seen this happen everywhere. Look at aviation. How many providers are there? Less than 15. Have they been able to come up as a cartel and fix a price in that sector? It's not going to happen. Look at telecoms. It's not going to happen. Look at, a lot of other sectors. So what you are saying is, as long as people don't produce at the same cost, they are not going to be able to agree at the same price. That is the essence of competition. That is the power of the free market. And that is why I don't want us to exercise that fear that, they can gang up and all that. It cannot work.